They say you shouldn't live for money, but have you ever tried living without it? I remember a friend once told me this, with a half smile and tired eyes. He had just quit a high-paying job to find himself. He wanted to prove that life wasn't about chasing numbers on a screen. For a while, he was radiant, spending his mornings painting by the river, his afternoons reading poetry in cafes. But then, the rent notice came. His savings thinned. The barista began to glance at him when he lingered too long without ordering. Freedom, it turned out, had a price tag. It's easy to romanticize the idea of living purely for passion. We see it in movies, the artist starving but happy, the wanderer with a backpack and a heart full of stories. But reality is less forgiving, because money, whether we like it or not, is the silent scaffolding of our lives. It's the electricity that keeps the fridge humming, the unseen thread that pulls the bus along the road. The reason the bakery opens its doors each morning. And yet, here's the paradox. If you live only for money, life becomes hollow. But if you try to live without it, life becomes almost impossible. I once met a man who lived almost entirely off the grid. He grew his own vegetables, caught rainwater, and sewed his own clothes. I don't need money, he told me proudly. But as we talked longer, he admitted he still needed to go into town every few weeks to buy seeds, soap, medicine, just a little money. He said, but I still need it. It struck me. Even the purest form of self-reliance still had a small doorway, leading back to the world of currency. Perhaps the truth isn't in choosing between money and meaning. Perhaps it's learning to hold both without letting either crush. Stop, because money, at its best, is not the purpose, it's the tool. A hammer is useless without something to build. But try building a house with your bare hands, and you'll wish you had the hammer. When we say, don't live for money, maybe what we really mean is, don't let money be your compass. Let it be the wind in your sails, not the map in your pens. But here's the quiet danger. When you don't have enough of it, money becomes all you can think about. It takes up mental space, gnaws at your decisions. Poverty isn't just a lack of resources, it's a narrowing of horizons. You can't think about painting by the river when you're worried about tomorrow's dinner. In that sense, money is like oxygen. We don't wake up every morning thinking, I must breathe to live. But take it away for just a few minutes, and it's all you can think about. I've seen people with overflowing bank accounts who are still restless, still chasing the next zero. And I've seen people with just enough, no more, no less, who walk through life with a certain calm, as if they know where the edges of their needs are. Maybe the art of living is finding that line, enough to give you stability, enough to allow generosity, enough to open the door to dreams, without letting those dreams be owned by the chase for more. There's a Japanese concept called shokunin, which means craftsman. It's about taking pride in the work itself, not the reward. The irony is, when people focus on the craft, the money often follows. Not always, but often enough to suggest that value has a way of circulating back. And yet, I wonder how many dreams have been left behind because someone couldn't afford to keep them alive. How many potential novels unwritten because the rent came first? How many songs never sung because the singer was too busy working to eat? This is why the phrase "don't live for money" feels incomplete to me. It needs a companion. Don't live for money. But don't forget you need enough of it to live at all. So maybe the real question isn't whether we should live for money or live without it. Maybe the question is, how do we live with it without losing ourselves? I think about my friend sometimes, the one who quit his job to find himself. He eventually went back to work, but on his own terms. Fewer hours, lower pay, but enough. Enough to keep the lights on, enough to buy time for painting by the river again. Maybe that's what balance looks like, not rejecting money, not worshiping it, but placing it in the right place in the hierarchy of our lives. Because in the end, money isn't the meaning of life. But without it, life has a way of making meaning very hard to reach. So the next time someone says, don't live for money, I might not, and then quietly add, true, but try living without it and see what happens. And perhaps that's the real challenge for all of us, not to escape money, but to master the way it flows through our hands, without letting it own our hearts.